Across the courtyard, Benedict had been in unnecessarily close conference with Lord Clothern for much longer than I felt warranted, both of them huddled away from the pelting rain in the narrow cover of an overgrown arbor. Their choice to stand 3 inches from one another, with vines dripping on them, rather than under either of 2 spacious verandas that ran the length of the courtyard, confirmed that they'd rather be uncomfortable than overheard. Talking about me, I had little doubt. Very little. And that sliver of uncertainty included the probability that handsome, smirking Clothern might be Benedict's latest plaything, and that they ducked under the arbor to leer at each other while talking about me. The two weren't mutually exclusive whatsoever. Clothern had recently taken over as the interim counselor for the Treasury after his father's apoplexy, and Benedict had long been the most beloved, although not by me, obviously, of Calatria's military commanders, despite his 2 years' absence after my father's death. Upon his return, he'd taken up his previous position as if he'd never left it, his charm and the force of his personality and the unwavering loyalty of the Calatrian army too overwhelming for the court to resist. He'd spent the summer and fall fighting our ongoing, simmering war with the nomadic raiders who infested our northern foothills, but in the 2 months since the year's campaign ended, he'd taken his seat on my council. Perhaps simply to annoy me, he'd faithfully attended every meeting. In short, Benedict and Clothern were 2 of my closest advisers, whether I wanted them or not, and they lived and breathed politics and power. They could plot against me either in or out of bed with equal facility. And Benedict? Well, most cursed Twilight mages suffered from their afflictions, but he wielded his supposed weakness as adroitly as he handled a sword and shield, fucking his way through the court and somehow managing to leave his discarded lovers as well disposed to him as ever. Benedict's personality was more accursed than his bloody magic, and if I could undo only one of my late father's mistakes, aside from the many unjust executions he'd ordered, it would be his lust-addled marriage to Benedict's harpy of a mother. As if he'd heard me mentally abusing her, Benedict's head came up, gray eyes sharp like a wolf scenting prey. He couldn't possibly see me here behind a second-story balcony column, could he? Vines hung all around the gap between columns, climbing from pots on the ground-floor veranda up to the roof. In the gloomy light of this miserable, rainy morning, I'd be screened from prying eyes. But I still ducked out of any possible sight, flattening my back against the column. I couldn't hear anything anyway, and I'd seen enough. Benedict's big, broad-shouldered body sheltering Clothern's elegant, silk-clad frame, his wool soldier's cloak and his mane of black hair gleaming with spattered raindrops. So fucking picturesque it made me want to gag. I closed my eyes. The image behind them remained. That and the others that appeared regularly in a nauseating rotation. My father's white silk nightshirt stained crimson and black around the collar, the matching trickle from his slack mouth, the blue eyes, so like mine, bulging and glazed with surprise and shock and pain. Or the thought that always followed, that I was living on borrowed time and at any moment I could be next. I didn't wear a nightshirt, so I'd stain my crisp linen bedsheets instead when I choked on poison or took a knife to the chest. But otherwise it would probably be much the same. My choice of clothing, or lack of it, to wear to bed didn't have much to do with my subjects hating me, I didn't think. Not that I'd wear a stupid nightshirt to appease them, even if it did. Being murdered would be preferable to giving in, not least because if I did give in, they'd jeer at me, and then most likely murder me anyway.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.